How deep do you think finances can have an impact on your mental health?
When you don't have money, people tend to get angry easily.
When you have money, fine, you'll be in a lighter mood.
It takes a lot of effect on the mental health.
I strongly believe that if one is not making enough money in this economy, it will actually lead to depression.
Today I have on the show with me someone very interesting, Dr. Chinonso Egemba, aka Aproko Dr. Hi, Doctor.
Hi.
How are you doing?
How are you doing? Good.
It's wonderful to have you on the show with me today.
Here.
Today we're going to be focusing on mental health and how do we balance that with finances, right? So Dr. Chinonso, what do you see mental health as?
A very interesting question because
Yes.
life has its own stresses, has its own strains, has its own challenges.
Yeah.
So when we say a person is mentally healthy, it's simply your ability to cope with these strains, with these stresses, without it really negatively affecting it.
Okay.
That's one. And just being in a state of completeness, quotes and unquotes.
Yeah.
If it's just a mental health, what exactly does it compose of? You have the psychological well-being, the person's psychology. How do they think? A person's emotional state, what their emotions like, and then you have social.
When we talk about mental health, I know that there are several factors that can influence someone's state of mind or their mental state. How deep do you think finances can have an impact on your mental health?
Where do we start from? I mean, we're currently living in Nigeria.
Yeah,
right? And I'm
sad
sure
reality.
And I'm sure that a lot of us are not immune to the economic hardship that a lot of people are going through.
Yes.
You realize that economic hardships, financial problems,
Yes.
is a major contributor to negative mental health.
Yes.
And it's also because the money seems to be an answer to a lot of problems. And in the discussion about mental health, you also talk about life strains.
Yeah.
One of life strains is finances.
Yes.
Some people have their rents
To pay. They have bills
Some
to
have
pay.
bills to pay. Some have medical conditions that they need finances to sort out. Some of them don't even know where the next meal is coming from. A boost in their finances will probably help their mental health first, right? And so if you live here, finance really contributes to your mental health.
When you have enough money, not just having money, you have enough money to take care of your basic needs, feeding, shelter, your basic needs, you're happier.
For example, if you give me 1 million now, I'll be happy.
Taking it from another perspective, right? When it comes to social media, I know you're an influencer, you're a health influencer, and you do a lot of social media. Does social media have a negative impact on the state of someone's mental health?
I think it can, right? A lot actually, because it's beginning to look like a competition. We don't just want to be happier, we want to be happier than other people. And the thing about social media is social media now begins to throw you into other people's lives without even your consent, so to speak, even though yes, you consented by signing up into social media. Whatever you see there, that's it. But you also need to understand that when it has to do with social media, a lot of people have curated versions of their lives on social media. So we have curated versions of our lives online.
Packaged.
Fake life.
Fake life.
And then people are beginning to judge their own lives by
the standards
my
of
curated
others.
version.
Yes.
You don't know. Funny story, right? I wanted to drive here this morning and I put on the car and it wouldn't come on. All the lights went off. Everything was off. And I was a bit frustrated, right? But I'm probably not going to show you that version of myself.
Of course, you will not.
You probably see a video of me driving on Lekki Expressway,
cruising
with music and all that. You probably don't know that before then my car refused to come on.
Yes, yes.
So a person who is on the other side, who has had life's issues deal with them, would look at that curated version of my life and think that that's how their life is. So social media gives people a fake reality to compare their lives to. And because there's a lot of comparison going on, it can negatively affect their view of their lives, which now probably affects their mental health.
How do I identify that this person is going through
Might be going through something.
Yes.
I think first of all, I would say different strokes, different folks. People deal with their health, mental conditions differently.
Yeah.
So there's really no litmus test to be able to tell. Some people might be laughing today, and then tomorrow you hear that the person is gone by self-harm.
Yeah.
Right? But there are some red flags. There are some things that can give you signs, and you might find them in the most unlikeliest of places. For example, somebody who is depending a lot on alcohol. Oh, it's Friday night, let's go out.
Party.
Let's go party. And then you notice that this particular coworker is taking more bottles than usual. You know, everybody has taken, they've gotten to their fill, but this person seems to want to drown in it. They're probably trying to
Suppress
cover
something.
suppress something. Another thing is some people might start to withdraw from co-workers, they start to withdraw from friends, they start to withdraw from family. Some people don't answer their calls or text anymore. You have to call like 5-6 times before they get it. Another thing is a severe drop in productivity. You know, this person was doing well, and all of a sudden they find it hard to get deadlines. They find it hard to get stuff done. It could be a sign that that person is struggling with some things.
Yeah.
You know, before you even start talking about thoughts of self-harm, thoughts of suicide, that is usually, you know,
Extreme.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's usually the last stage
Yeah.
before suicide becomes, you know, the go-to place, right? But there are still all the states. Sometimes even gambling.
Okay.
Gambling, you know, they want to get it, which has become very popular right now.
Yes,
you know,
it is. It's
different
everywhere.
Telegram groups, everybody's putting codes, and it's becoming a popular thing without realizing that some people turn to this because they're desperate
To make money.
and really want to make money. And another thing you also need to understand is in periods of economic hardship, things like that become very popular.
Yes.
Betting becomes very popular. MMM becomes very popular. A lot of people get scammed even
Get
in periods
quick.
like this because I want to get rich quick.
Yes.
It's looking like me doing it the normal way is going
It's
to
not
take
working. Donkey
millions
years.
of years. Yeah. So these are the signs that a person might be going through some bit of financial stress and it's affecting their mental health.
So how do you navigate the financial status of the country in such a way that your mental health is still intact? Because we've established here today one thing, which is that your financial status can affect your mental health.
I'd say it starts from within first, then outside. You need to know by what standards you are grading yourself by. I think that's very important. We talked about social media and its impact on mental health. The same way a lot of people's spending abilities might also be impacted by social media. You don't have to buy everything you see online.
Yeah.
Because one of the best ways to get in, financial health is ensuring that you're not spending more than you're making.
Yeah.
A lot of people might not be financially stressed because they're not earning enough. They might be financially stressed because you're spending more than they earn. The fact that you have the money in your account does not mean that you can afford it. When you now start to go outward, you have to look at what you're spending your money on. How many of those things are important? Usually in economic hardships, one of the things that people do is they cut down on costs.
Yes.
And one of the first things you need to do is to cut down on things that are not expedient.
Non-essentials.
Get non-essentials. I used to buy perfumes a lot until, I was like, I don't really think I need perfume that much.
It's true. Yeah.
Is smelling good really that important to have,
So many varieties.
I was like, So it doesn't mean I'll now say, oh, this health insurance, I don't really need it. You now don't close it. That's very essential.
That's very essential, very important.
So cutting down the non-essentials, right? There's also another thing that people can do. And then because you're cutting down on non-essentials, you're being left with money that you're not spending. And that's where you talk about savings.
Savings.
One of the reasons why we have very good flight systems is simply because a plane usually has like 2 or 3 engines depending on the model and the make, right? If one engine fails, it can keep going.
Yes.
It can continue going. But usually some people don't have any failback mechanism. If they get sacked today,
that's the end.
That's it.
Back to the village.
They're back straight up. It's not even from Lekki to
Badore.
Badore or something. Just straight to the village. But you need to have some sort of failback mechanism. And I would say you need to have like 3 to 6 months I'll say 3 months to be safe.
Yeah, an
3
emergency
months
fund.
of emergency funds
Yes.
kept aside, just in case something goes bad. For 3 months, I'm good. Because within that 3 months, you need to be focused on finding your next source of income.
Yeah.
While not worrying about where your next meal will come from.
Yes.
And when you're done with that, you can now, when you've saved enough, because you know people have to walk up that ladder. We keep telling people to invest when they haven't saved enough. You need to be able to be saved. Save first before you start thinking of moving forward, and then save enough. And then if you're saving, if you're inexperienced in investing rather, you need to start looking for low risk.
Yes.
First, manage your risk appetite, so to speak.
Don't be greedy.
But there's this guy in the do forex. Before you know what's happening, you gotta get on by like 4G wagon, and then you take your entire savings and then you dump it in, and before you know what's happening, you're broke. I mean, it happened to me one time, but let's move forward. So you can have huge losses.
Yes.
But if you manage your risk appetite, and one of the easiest ways is Raven Heifer. I use.
Yes.
I mean, it's low risk.
Yes.
And the reward is there, and I heard it just got better.
Yes.
Up to 21%.
21% per annum. Yes.
It's low risk. Your capital is
secure.
Safe,
yes.
It's secure, because here's something someone taught me. He said return of capital is more important than return on capital.
Yes.
So it is always better to have that capital that you put and get back to you at least first. Rather than both your capital and your interest.
You're looking for both of them.
Everything is gone.
True.
So low risk group, low risk, which is what I would advise anybody who's just starting into investing, right? Before you now start looking at diversifying your investment portfolios, you can have some in low risk, have some in high risk,
medium risk
reward,
as well.
Medium risk, because anything can happen.
Yes.
You can wake up one day and you're $1 million richer. The same way you can wake up one day and then
you're back to the village.
Is gone.
True.
But you need to have something to also fall back on, right?
Yes.
Then manage your expectations. So I think a lot of people don't understand how compounding interest works, right? When it has to do with investment. And that's why we feel like this investment thing is not working. If I ask you 2 + 2 + 2 + 2, you could probably give me the answer. 6. Wait, she is 6.
8.
2 + 2 + 2 + 2. Yeah, that's 8. Right? But if I tell you 2 × 2 × 2 × 2 × 2 × 2, it becomes a little.
Yeah. Yes.
That's compounding interest.
Yes, of course.
We don't have a mentality to understand compounding interest. That if I put this money in here and just give it time, investments, and keep putting back the returns and let it multiply itself, in a couple of years, I'm not going to recognize that investment anymore.
Yeah.
But it's almost as if here is a very simple analogy that someone used. If you're baking a cake, you put it in an oven and then you let it bake. But if every time you go and open the door of the oven just to check the cake, every 1 minute you're there, you're going to have a cake that's not fully baked.
Of course.
So it's the same thing with investments. Sometimes if you're sure that you've put your investment in a safe place, just
let it rest.
Leave it there. Forget
it's a time. It's a
and let time do its thing.
Yes.
But because we don't have good expectations, we want it to blow now. Our expectations are not all right. Most times people now go there, pull out their investment because they feel like it's not growing enough. Just give it time. And I'm sure, with this, small points, people could invest better, have a more financial secure future than, they would.
Interesting conversation, Dr. Chinonso. Thank you so much for making yourself available. We really, really enjoyed having you around. So we've all heard it from Dr. Chinonso. Interesting times that we're living in right now. I mean, we've established here that your finances and even social media has an impact directly on how your mental health can be managed. So what we can do this month, since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, is make sure that you take care of yourself. Make sure that you look out for yourself. Make sure that you prioritize your mental health. Cheers.